Middleweight champs coming up this weekend, meeting at 205 pounds. MMA Junkies Mike Bond, he fanned the flames. This is not going to be a title fight. It's a 3-rounder. You have the former UFC light heavyweight champ, Jan Blachowicz, with his legendary Polish power, taking on legendary Brazilian power. You want to see a left hook. It is the former middleweight and light heavyweight glory kickboxing champ and former UFC middleweight champ, Alex Poatan Pereira, battling it out at 205 pounds. And Matt, we've seen Alex Pereira up 20 pounds from middleweight, and I just said it right there. At Glory, he was the champion, and that was around 208 pounds because they do it in the metric system in kgs. And if you look at it and you consider some of the fights that he had, his last fight in 2021 was just a few months before he made his UFC middleweight debut, and he lost a really close decision against Vakitov. And in that one, I thought Pereira won the fight. I was surprised that Vakitov won. Now, that was a rematch because Pereira beat the fighter out of Russia for the title.
I don't know the judging criteria of kickboxing, and I'm going to be very honest about that.
But just overall, you go back and watch that fight. He eats a right hook in the first round. They clinch up, and he looks over to where the camera is and goes, what about it? So for Alex Pereira, you saw him meteoric rise in the UFC from Michailidis fight, Sean Strickland, Adesanya, he finishes him. That seemingly ends their trilogy. 2 fights in kickboxing, 1 in MMA. They rebooked them. And Matt, back not that long ago, Alex Pereira's fighting against Israel Adesanya. It was UFC 287 back in April. And it was a second round knockout win for Adesanya. He's doing the pullback.
And that's the thing. It wasn't a TKO. It's not like Alex got hurt by a big shot, is up against the fence, and then the ref stops it before he goes out. He was out. And that's what I really do have concerns with going into this matchup, because I don't know if Jan Blachowicz is the most dangerous guy Alex Pereira has ever fought. I know that's a wild thing to say, because Jan is a former champion at the 205-pound weight class, but for Jan, he's had a bit of a run after he lost the title, and it's been an interesting one, because even in the Glover fight, he just looked kind of flat in that matchup, and when Glover was able to get that top position on him, there wasn't a lot that Jan was able to do on the defensive. Exactly, it was pretty much over the second it got to the mat. But for Jan, do you think he's going to draw confidence from that Israel Adesanya matchup? And on the flip side, do you think Alex can watch that fight and gain a little bit of confidence from it too? Because I think Jan, I don't think he's going to strike with Alex Pereira. Spoiler alert, I don't think he's going to go out there and strike with one of the most dangerous strikers we've ever seen. But everybody does bring up the Polish power about Jan. He has a lot more to his game than just that. He himself has really good kicks. The thing I like about Jan is he's a good defensive striker. I brought this up a lot before he fought Dominic Reyes. I was very adamant that Jan was going to win that fight because defensively, Dominic Reyes had not reached a level where Jan Blachowicz had reached, and he has still shown that part. He holds his hands very high. He does a great job checking leg kicks too, and that's the thing about Jan that has really gone unnoticed. He always does a really good job of getting that shin up and forcing it out, almost like an offensive weapon.
Yeah, he's no Johnny Parsons, but he is very good at it.
He is very, very talented with that technique, and that's something I think he can have a lot of success with in this matchup, because if Alex is on the outside, we saw him against Sean Strickland when Sean's trying to march him down with his hands out like this, and he just gets blasted. He was throwing that leg kick on the back foot and really trying to time Sean Strickland on some of those entries. I think Jan might fight in a bare bones way like Sean, but he has a lot more to offer if things aren't going his way on the feet.
And Jan is an interesting guy. The Rakic fight, it ended like Aspinall Blades. It was over really quickly. He had the injury to Rakic in that one. So that was the third round of that matchup. But if you do look at the fight that Blachowicz had against Ankalaev, 47-48, 48-46, 47-47, and it ends in a draw. This is really interesting fight.
This is how I judge that fight. Feel free to disagree. The first 3 rounds are really, really close, and I thought Ankalaev won the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, so did I.
That's like, if you want to say Jan won the first 3 rounds, I'm not going to disagree with you. They were that close. The only definitive opinion I have on any of those rounds, though, I thought Ankalaev won round 4. I didn't think he did enough to get a 10-8 in round 5. I saw that out there. That's why it was a majority draw. I thought he won that round. There just wasn't enough offensively from that position. But it was a weird fight because both guys did seem tentative in the matchup.
Yeah, I thought Ankalaev had won 3 rounds, but obviously the top brass, they weren't impressed enough. No titles for you guys.
It wasn't a great fight.
That's it. So ultimately, Hill takes on Cachoeira shortly after. Dana White never makes decisions like that, but he did that night after UFC 282, and ultimately Hill beats Cachoeira, and now the title's vacant. That's why there were those rumblings. Mike Bond fan the flames, or at least extinguish
the Achilles on Hill.
And now we end up here. So for Pereira, 205 is the weight class. For Jan Blachowicz, I mean, he was a KSW light heavyweight champ years ago, and he's got his Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschart's got that one bugaboo, and who is it? Jay Ellis. He's 1-1 against Jay Ellis. Jan Blachowicz, 1-1 against So could you. And listen, I mean, it is what it is. He ended up round 2 retirement when he took on Sokoudjou years ago. But you look at a fight like this, Matt, the odds, they're basically at par. We've seen Blachowicz wrestle in the UFC. He came into the UFC, he beats Ilir Latifi, he's
Beautiful
the
body
talk
kick.
of the town. And then all of a sudden, he's 2-4 to start his UFC tenure.
He lost to Alexander Gustafsson, though, in one of those.
And now he's 10-2-1 since that mark. So a wild career arc for the now 40-year-old Jan Blachowicz. And don't forget, Alex Pereira, some road miles in kickboxing too. He's 38 years old. We have a look at the Topology votes, Matt. Surprised to us as they are to you. And a fight that's a par like this, I'm going to give the edge to the man who's done more mixed martial arts. I'm going to say over under 60% Blachowicz.
I'm going to say one last thing. I love that this isn't for the title and it's a 3-round fight, and this is why. You need to see Alex fight at 205 before you give him an opportunity like that. What if he does show up a little bit flat? What if he isn't the same guy that he was at 185?
You mean a guy that got knocked out a few months ago?
But I just mean the weight class more than the actual fact, or more than the result of his last matchup. I'm happy that we are kind of not easing him in, because fighting Jan Blachowicz is not easing your way into the deep end. But I do like this matchup. At least we're going to see where he stands in the division before we start putting titles on the line. I think, 60% for Jan?
over Blachowicz?
I think it's going to be over, personally.
And,
Wow, I like it.
1,324 total votes, 51% Blachowicz, 53% by decision, 17% by submission, 23% by knockout. For the 49% that have Pereira, 84% by knockout. And when you look at Jan against wrestlers, he can knock them out. I mean, everybody remembers UFC Rio Rancho when Jan Blachowicz knocks out Beast in 25-8. He's got no time. He walks over, and then he's trying to get John Jones to bite, but
He's just too friendly, though.
John's not into it, so the fight doesn't happen. You look at a guy like Alex Pereira with the striking, caliber. It's the leg kicks, in addition to the left hook, in addition to the fact that he can throw...
The right hand's great, too.
The right hand from different angles, the uppercut, the cross, the hook, whatever it is. He can dictate the striking in this one, and we've seen decent takedown defense in the UFC from Alex Pereira. I don't know if he can do it at 205 against Jan Blachowicz, and I'm going to go with the older man Blachowicz in the fight.
I've also got the former champion Jan Blachowicz. This is my big issue. Alex Pereira on the way up had fought Bruno Silva. Remember how good that fight was?
That fight was amazing.
It was a back and forth brawl where he lands a lot of really good shots, eats some good shots too. I just think if he gets into a matchup like that against Jan, to where, okay, Jan is having some success in the feet, Jan can decide to take it to the mat. And maybe it's not just a case of, I'm going for the takedown attempt, I secure the takedown attempt, but Jan is at least going to be the fighter who can decide where this fight takes place. Maybe it will take place some in the clinch because Pereira is able to defend some of those initial takedown attempts, but I just think over 15 minutes, Jan's going to get him to that spot eventually, and from there he should have a lot of success.
And the best part about it, I got a Shohei Ohtani rookie card. He lays that trump card down. Alex Pereira, main training partner Teixeira, and Teixeira was able to beat Jan Blachowicz for the belt. So Matt, some amazing fights this weekend. Both of us going with the legendary Polish Power in the co-main event. Let us know down below in the comments section who you have. It's the big time, Matt. The rematch, you got Poirier taking on Gaethje in the main event. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.